I'm feeling good today. I'm actually feeling very good today for a couple of reasons. One was the election yesterday in Alabama. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not a pessimist by nature, but yesterday evening, I was feeling a little depressed. I really believed that Roy Moore was going to win in Alabama. Like a lot of people, I avoided even paying any attention to the polls because we saw what happened last year with the polls. They were all saying that Hillary Clinton was a sure winner. Some of them said 99% probability that she was going to be the next president of the United States. And a lot of those polls never did give a reasonable explanation of why they were so wrong. So I avoided the polls. But I did listen to the news anchors, the commentators, the contributors, the journalists, some of them who were in Alabama interviewing people. And what a lot of them said was that there are many Alabamans or Alabamians, however it's pronounced, who will put party over person. If they're a Republican, they're going to vote Republican whether they like the candidate or not. And so many were saying that therefore it was a good probability that Roy Moore would win the election. What they didn't count on was the number of African American voters who came out. And that was why Doug Jones won the election. If you look at just the white vote, it would have been a landslide victory for Roy Moore. But so many African Americans voted for Doug Jones that gave him the victory, which kind of scares me a little bit too, because Alabama, like many red states, already has in place some laws, like voter registration laws, that make it difficult for minorities like African Americans, Hispanics, and so forth to register to vote because they typically vote Democratic. And the Republicans are trying to eliminate those votes, suppress those votes. And seeing the loss of this Senate seat, what are the Republicans likely to do during the next year, 10, 11 months, before we get to the midterm elections in 2018 to suppress the African American, the minority vote in Alabama, as well as other red states? I don't know what's going to happen, but like I said, I'm not a pessimist by nature, but I do feel pessimistic about that. But I did feel good when I started the evening. I've got to tell you, I was feeling down. As I said, I put the TV on. The polls hadn't closed yet in Alabama, but I muted this TV station. I was working on a recipe. I'll get into that in a moment. I was writing a recipe on my other computer. I have a little TV set on my desk in my home office. The big TV's out here, the little TV is back there, and it's almost always on the news. So when I'm working on the computer, one of my computers back there, the news is usually on. I put the mute on. I didn't even want to hear the talks. And every once in a while I would look at the screen to see what the numbers were, and they started off looking as I expected. 55% of the vote was coming in for Roy Moore, 43% for Doug Jones, 2% for write-in candidates, etc. I thought, yeah, okay, this is what I was expecting. And I have to say, I'm not from Alabama, so I wasn't worried so much about the state of Alabama, although I was in a sense. But I was worried also about the reputation of our country, the state and the country, because we're already a little bit embarrassed, some of us a lot embarrassed, that we have Donald Trump as a president, and a lot of people in other nations are shaking their head at us thinking, what is it with these Americans? Why would they vote Donald Trump to be their president when they had a Washingtonian who knew Washington politics? Why didn't they vote for her? So anyways, the Alabamans did the right thing yesterday. One of the TV commentators mentioned something that it's a saying, an expression that is attributed to Winston Churchill, and I thought, that's it, that's appropriate. Winston Churchill supposedly said about the United States back during the World War II, when the United States finally joined the Allied forces to go to war against Hitler and the Nazis. Churchill said, you can always count on the Americans to do what's right after they've exhausted every other possibility. So I thought that was appropriate. But the outcome was good. I mean, after a while, I started to see those numbers getting closer and closer and closer. And I realized, oh my gosh, this is going to be a close race. What is going to happen? So then, done with the recipe, I sat in front of the TV and I just watched the news until Roy Moore was finally defeated and Doug Jones was announced as the apparent winner. I thought, finally, something to feel good about. And a lot of people said that it was a repudiation of Steve Bannon and Donald Trump and the negative politics. I thought of it more in a positive way, that something good about our nation, that we can feel that the American people are responsible. They do care about women's rights. They care about people being treated fairly. It's a good thing. It's not a, I mean, yes, I suppose it's a repudiation, but I look at it as an accomplishment. The people of Alabama did something that was right and good for themselves and for our nation, and I'm proud of them for that. What about the fire? Some of you are wondering about the fire, I know. It's still burning. The latest numbers I got this morning were 237,500 acres burned, and currently it's 25% contained. They are making progress. I felt great when I got up this morning because the first thing I do, well, there's two things I do. One is I look at my clock radio in my bedroom. If it's blinking the wrong time, then I know the power went off during the night. And the electricity here hasn't been very reliable, although it hasn't gone off for the past 48 hours. So hopefully it's good. And the reason why is because the high voltage transmission lines that deliver electricity to our city, those pass through that area in Ventura. And when the flames are under those lines, I think it's the smoke that causes arcing and the electricity goes out. The grid will shut down parts of the grid automatically in order to help preserve the grid from further damage. And there were times when we would be without electricity for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So far, so good. Hopefully it'll stay on. All my lights are still on, so hopefully we'll be okay. I've been wearing one of these when I go outdoors. I can't speak very well through it. This is an N95 mask. Supposedly it filters out 95% of the particulate matter in the air. Everywhere you go, people are wearing these. Some are blue, so forth. There's different shaped ones. I've actually had this for a long time. The last time we had a fire here, they were giving them out in pairs, and I had two that I used. I used one until it was finally worn out, and I threw it away, and this has been sitting in the box ever since. So this is practically a new mask, but what I did order was an N100 from Amazon. If you're familiar with Amazon, if you don't have Prime, the way to get free shipping is to put in an order for $25 or more. Then you get free shipping. Well, what if you're ordering something that's $18 or $19? You put a little add-on item. So I put on an N100 mask that's supposed to filter out 99.97% of the particulate matter. It's a much better mask, and it's not going to come in probably for another week, but we're probably going to have this fire for at least another 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, it's only, what's today, the 13th? They're expecting to be fighting this fire up to Christmas. So the other reason why I was happy this morning was because I went to the windows, looked outside, blue sky, absolutely clear out there. I thought, oh, finally we're not going to have to deal with the smoke today, wearing masks today. And now I look to the south, you can start to see the haze. The haze is starting to build up out there, so the winds are changing. The big important news is that the winds aren't really high. It's very mild winds, and that really helps the firefighters. When it's a strong wind, like the Santa Ana winds, peaking at 60, 70, sometimes 80 miles an hour, that just blows the fire into the other regions and just spreads the fire so rapidly. Right now the winds are mild, so hopefully it'll stay that way. Hopefully we won't have to endure this too much longer. The worst part right now is the ash. I got a kick out of something, I got to tell you. each morning I check my car to see how much ash is on it. And I have this, it's called a DataVac electric duster. It's actually for cleaning out the inside of a computer. My computers have, is that the mail? No, it's UPS. They're going to keep going. Okay, I'm waiting for a package that I will have to sign for. So I'm waiting to see who's going to deliver it and when it'll get here. Anyways, it's a duster for cleaning out computers. And my computers have dust filters on them now, and they don't get any dust inside. But I've been using it to blow the ash off my car. It does a really good job. It takes less than a minute. But they've been saying on TV, people shouldn't use leaf blowers or other things like that to blow the dust off their car because it puts those particulates into the air. Yeah, just watch out the window for like 10, 15 minutes. Hundreds of cars are going in all directions. The roads are dusted with ash. It looks like it snowed last night. And as the cars go by, you just see these clouds of ash coming up into the air, which is probably a good part of what I'm seeing out there. This morning there was very little traffic, so the skies were clear, and now that there's a lot of traffic out there, people going shopping, it's noontime, people are going to lunch, they're stirring up all that ash. Me blowing dust off my car for about a minute is not going to put much dust in the air, much ash in the air compared to what's already going on. I mean, the UPS guy just drove by, and you can see our streets here are all covered with ash. I did take my video camera out to video some of what it looks like out there when the smoke is really bad, the sun is orange. I'll show you those clips. This first one is of, it's on the road out in front of our home, and it's looking to, I think that one's to the east, towards Santa Barbara. And you can see it's hazy out there. Then I did the other part of that clip is to the other side, the other direction, toward the west. This is the south coast area of California. So the coast actually runs east-west. Most people think of California, whereas the coast goes north-south. It does. But California, where I live, there's a little bit of a jog where it goes east-west, and then it goes back to the north again. I live on that south coast area of Southern California. And when the wind is right, the smoke blows in this direction. On the other side is the picture of the railroad tracks to the north of here. You often hear trains in my videos. I started off looking to the west. There's a little clip there looking at the mountains, and I even adjust the brightness on the camera to try to bring in those foothills and the mountains. They're barely visible out there when the when the smoke is really bad. And then I finish up showing to the east. When it's bad, you can see and feel that particulate matter, the ash, falling out of the sky. It looks like it's a very light snow falling out there, only it doesn't melt. So, and then the sun is orange. Sunsets are pretty, but the sun is orange in the sky. And when it's really bad, it actually starts to look dark out there. It could be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's already looking like sunset because it's starting to get dark. So they're getting control of the fire. It's been pretty good lately. We've had electricity. I've got a face mask. Everybody's wearing them out there. Whenever you go shopping, everybody's got a face mask on. We're doing the best we can. So that's the latest with that. I did want to mention the recipe that I was working on because I got this idea. And it's on YouTube now. You'll have to go to my website to get to it, though. It's mobilehomegourmet.com. I'll put the URL down there for you. Toward the bottom of the home page, there'll be a link to the recipe. It's shrimp scallop kebabs. And that'll take you to the recipe page. And then you go to the recipe page, you see a green button, view the video, click that, you'll see the video. The video hasn't gone public yet. That'll happen in the next few weeks. But if you go to my website, you can watch the video now. You have access, early access to the video. I've been trying to think about, in fact, a friend and I were discussing this. What can we do as far as a seafood kebab, something kind of fancy? And I was watching TV one evening, and there was a commercial. I want to say it was for Red Lobster, the Red Lobster restaurant chain. And one of the pictures of the food showed a piece of a scallop that was nestled inside of the curl of a shrimp. And I think it was pinned together with toothpick, and then it was sauteed. I can do that. I can do that. There's my kebabs. And so that's what I did for this video, and I ramped it up a little bit. I'm laughing because I ramped it up a little bit with a bit of prosciutto, and I sent the picture of one of them, my test photograph. I just did one to see what it was going to be like. How difficult is this going to be? Can I do this? Can I pull this off? Yeah, I did. But I sent a picture to one of my friends, and he sent the picture to one of his friends, and she said, "Who made that?" And he said, "Dennis did." And she said, "Oh yeah, of course he did." Because she knows this is some of the stuff that I cook. I mean, I've got over 300 videos on YouTube, so we laughed about it because I have this reputation for doing stuff like that, especially if I can use prosciutto. So that's on my website now. The recipe is there. The video is there. You can go enjoy that now. It'll probably go public, I would guess, after the first of the year, maybe the week of Christmas. When's Christmas? Christmas is on a Monday, so sometime that week or the week after, maybe it'll go public. And not surprising, my most popular video right now, which is usually smoked salmon jerky. I have no idea why that video was so popular, but it is the most popular. But this week, so far, my video for Mom's Christmas cookies, Mom's Italian Christmas cookies, that's doing really well on YouTube. So that is the most popular video right now. If you're looking for a recipe, a fun recipe, something you can do with your kids to make cookies for Christmas, look up that one. I think it's called Mom's Italian Christmas Cookies. If you go to my website, again, and go to desserts, there'll be a link among their dessert recipes. And then you'll find the recipe there, and you can go to the YouTube video as well. What's fun about them, it's like when you make the dough, it's like Play-Doh. And you can make different shapes. You can tie them in a knot. You can make squiggles. You can make spirals. You can do all kinds of things with the dough. And that's what I did. I showed a lot of the different shapes that we would make as children and some of the shapes that I've come up with since then. So it's a fun project to do with kids where they can make their own cookies. You make the dough and let them shape their own cookies. I think it's a fun family recipe. So that's the latest. I'm doing well. I feel good about what's happening right now. Yes, we're still dealing with some smoke, but I won't say there's light at the end of the tunnel yet. I'll start feeling that way when they have this fire more than 50% contained, but at least they're making progress on it. So I'm feeling better about what's happening. So thanks for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, tell others about us, about me, and enjoy.